AFC East. So
That's the voice of the Jets, and we're very thrilled to have him, and we're gonna do our best. And it's finally nice to hear somebody else's voice, isn't it, Stocks?
Oh, definitely. Like we said, we've been beating a dead horse, and finally, I think it woken up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, man, it's so good to finally have some fresh opinions, some fresh voices, some just different swagger. Because we don't talk about the AFC enough. So even if you're from the weak AFC, as you call it, we don't talk about the AFC enough between me and Stock. So it's nice to hear a lot of AFC opinions, and we're almost two different leagues, so it's nice when they merge together.
Yeah, I think we can definitely get if we have the AFC guys on here, we can get the sense of like how they're going and what's their direction, because we don't, like we said, we don't get to see them because we don't play them.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be on anytime you ask me. I'll be here.
That's awesome, man. I mean, we've been, like Stock says, beating a dead horse for however long. I don't even remember. I'm too old now to remember when we first started asking people to come on this show, but it's great. And I got to start by saying, people are so intimidated by coming on the show. They don't want to sound, for lack of a better word, I guess, silly or stupid. But it's really not that hard, So if anytime you feel like we ask you a question that's not appropriate or something, go ahead and, just avoid us and don't answer the question or whatever. But we're not going to put anyone in a bad spot, I don't think, Stocks.
No, I don't think we're like that.
No. So,
don't worry about it.
So what's your thoughts of your division just as a whole, overall?
Well, unfortunately, we had a rough year last year.
Yeah.
I think I'm excited to be in this division because it gives everybody a chance, really. Everyone's pretty even when you end up playing them. I think the Bills made it out last year.
Yep.
They didn't even have a quarterback. They just kind of did a run-and-shoot type of offense, which was really tough to stop, and they were excellent on the ground with D'Angelo Williams. The Dolphins were right there as well. I mean, they were still 7-9, but they had the new quarterback Gullery, and him and Brandon Marshall really had something going there, and they were impossible to stop when you were playing them. And then the Pats, of course, they have the two tight ends, and they're just loaded at every position. So it was a bit challenging, and I wonder sometimes if it's more or less everybody's so even because everybody's got a decent team. But I don't know. I'd like to think that I have a chance this year to pull it out and actually make the playoffs.
Well, you got to play the games to find out. I know Stocks is probably dying to ask you questions too, but I interviewed the Patriots earlier today, and the thing that I found most interesting with his answers, I talked a lot about playing the different divisions. I talked about playing the NFC, the NFC being from the AFC, and kind of the merger, and playing different guys. Because in your division you play each other twice, and you play a lot of the same guys that me and Stocks don't play. What's it like coming over to the north and seeing the different contrasting styles?
It's tough. I played the Giants and the Eagles specifically last year, and I got smoked both times, I think. Well, the Eagles and I were close. I think I pulled it out in the end, but the Giants just absolutely destroyed me. They ended up playing in the Super Bowl, and congratulations to them. They pulled it out and won. So it's always tough to cross over. Of course, it's nice when you play within your division 2 games, and you kind of get a feeling of what they're going to do. But when you play teams that you've never played before, you never know what's going to happen.
Well, Stocks, I'm sure you have questions for him, and I know you always were high on the Giants. So losing to the Giants isn't a bad thing because they obviously won the Super Bowl. So
yeah, going into this year, looking over your roster, you made some pretty big moves. You got some depth. Also, you have a couple older guys. You kind of went young at explosive spots, but at other spots, you have age. And I was just wondering what your philosophy, making these moves of getting, a Roddy White, a Brian Urlacher. I mean, Brian Urlacher is just going to be a stud. I understand that. But basically, the Urlacher, I understand that, he's really, really good. But he's in his 14th year. You still got Bart Scar there. He's really old. you got Plaxico Burris, kind of old. I was just kind of wondering how you built this team because you did make a lot of trades.
Yeah, on the defensive side of the ball, it's very simple. I was very tired of not being able to rush the passer, and the best way I thought I could do it was by bringing in some stud linebackers, specifically Arakpo and Urlacher. Team them up with Bart Scott, who had a very good year last year, and then I even just picked up in free agency Quentin Groves, who I'll start on the left side, outside linebacker. I'm just sick and tired of having the quarterbacks sit there in the pocket all day against me, so I thought I'd ratchet up the pressure and see if I could get it going there. On the offensive side of the ball, Burris is a little bit older, but I wasn't so concerned with him, and also Tomlinson. I drafted a halfback in the first round, Gibbons, who will come in and replace Tomlinson, so I'm not so concerned about the age there. And also, I just got Randall Cobb, and also I had Jerome Simpson at wide receiver, so I think Burris will be the 4th or 5th receiver for me this year. So they kind of get bumped down the depth chart. My idea in the offseason was literally just to have a better team for this season and next season going in. It's fun to develop rookies, but at the end of the day, having a Brian Urlacher really picks up your defense and makes a big statement, I think.
Well, I'll tell you.
I was just going to say the Randall Cobb, I think, is really a great pickup because he can do the punt and kickoff returns. He can do the slot. He can do a couple wildcat plays. He's kind of that all in one package you get with him, and that was, I think, probably one of your better pickups.
Yeah, it was a big trade with Manny in Green Bay. I ended up having to give up Jawan Sales, who's 6'4", 98 speed. Big receiver, really stretched the field. I had to give him up at my first round draft pick, which was, I think, 7th overall. But I got Brian Balaga back, Brian Arakpo, and also Cobb. So it ended up, and a first round draft pick. So it was a deal that was almost too good to turn down. I also picked up Donnie Avery, who was handling the kickoff and punt return for me. And actually, I've played my week 1 game, and he had a kickoff return for a touchdown. So he ended up coming in and being huge in a 3-point win over the Titans. So it ended up making a big difference.
Well, first of all, thanks for taking Brian Urlacher off my hands, because Stafford would always find that guy on an interception, and at least I won't have to worry about him being on the field for the Bears twice a year. So thanks for that. I'll send you a check in the mail.
Anytime, that's no problem. I'll take players like that from your division anytime.
That's perfect. Maybe Adrian Peterson can go next, but
that'll work.
I'm interested because me and Stocks, one of the things we like to do on this show, besides have some fun and give some information, one of the key things is we like to look back at trades. And we did it with Manny for a while, and we try to, really, I guess, dissect, who got the better end of the deal. You made a deal with Alex in the first season. You got rid of Holmes, and you got defensive help. What do you think that trade did for you that season and going forward into now? Is it still an effective deal for you? If you, knowing the results you know now, would you have done the deal?
I would have never done this deal because I didn't make the deal. It was a previous owner, and he traded away Holmes for Mathis and really put me in a tough spot last season.
Yep.
So that's why I went out and got Roddy White to make sure I had a true number 1.
I got you.
Yeah, I wouldn't have made that trade, but in the end, Mathis is still my starting cornerback.
Right.
So it wasn't all bad, but no. I prefer to have Holmes back, especially since he had a monster year last year as well for the Jaguars.
Well, I mean that's kind of to us, Doctor. We didn't even know that because we don't discuss the NFC a lot because we don't know it, and we're trying to get better, and we will get better. And guys coming on like the Jets, I mean that's only going to make us better because now we're talking about them and they're relevant.
Hopefully they're relevant this year. We'll see what happens.
Who's the team in your division? I know you talked about the Patriots. Who's the team you really think you got to get over?
I think the Dolphins are going to be the team to beat. I think the Bills have a very good actual user gameplay, but they don't have a quarterback, and that really limits them. The Dolphins is a tough game, and he's a very challenging opponent with Cameron Wake on the outside. I mean, you snap the ball and he's on top of you. So he's tough on defense, and then he also has Brandon Marshall, who he always seems to hit deep. So he's a challenge. I think it's the Dolphins that's going to be the team to beat this year.
Stocks, you got anything?
Yeah, your offensive line is really stout. That's key to a good running game. Sean Green, he's an A potential. He's at 86.
Yep.
Do you feel like he's can really put together over 1,000-yard rushing season with that offensive line?
I think he can have a chance. It depends on how I end up using my running backs. I just drafted a rookie, so we're gonna see who gets the majority of the starts. I see kind of the rookie's at 94 speed, so I see the rookie is kind of going outside and kind of stretching the field laterally, and then hopefully Green will be able to pound it in the middle. Green went over 100 yards in my first game, had a big run for a touchdown, so I'm hoping to be able to use them both efficiently and effectively, but we'll see what happens. My idea is to have a solid running game and basically pepper in passes whenever I have to, if I can work out an ideal situation like that, but we'll see what happens. Usually guys are pretty good at stopping the run, so that's where Roddy White will come in, I hope.
Is Mark Sanchez, can he take you? Do you believe he can take you to promised land?
I think he can actually pull it off. Contrary to what I believe in real life, I think he's active enough to.
We always have that distinguish.
So Sanchez is good enough. I think absolutely. He's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm quite convinced that he can get the job done. He's accurate enough short and the medium range. So as long as I don't ask him to do too much, I think he'll be okay.
Now, Danian Tomlinson, LT, is on the free agent market. You obviously don't have him anymore, obviously. Do you think he still can contribute to a team? Was it just that you wanted to move on, he wasn't a fit yet? You had some younger guys. You talked about that running back you drafted. Was it more that you just wanted to kind of end the relationship, or did you think he was like at the end of his road, can't really contribute this year?
Well, honestly, it came down to dollars and cents. He was making $5 million this year, and that's a lot for a third running back. I was trying to be active in free agency. I wasn't quite going for these linebackers or cornerbacks that were getting all the money, but I wanted to be active in free agency. I ended up losing out at the last minute, but I needed the money to be flexible there. So really it came down to a numbers game for a third running back, $5 million. But yeah, he can be effective. He's still got his speed. He's still pretty decent at catching the ball. So I think if someone was to pick him up, he'd definitely be a useful asset.
Well, talking about one of your AFC companions, I guess, the big thing in the free agent this year was Justin Durant got paid a lot of money, and first of all, was that worth it in your opinion? And is that kind of your philosophy? Do you go after, like when you decide I want this guy, do you go after him with everything you got, or you kind of more like make it work, I'm going to go fill a bunch of needs instead of this one, or do you go after like a shark after one guy?
Well, my goal is to have at least a decent player at every position. I don't want to have any holes.
Right.
But if I find somebody out there that I really want, I was chasing a center this year just because I wanted to put him at guard. And I was pretty much just going to throw as much money at him as I could until I got him. But that was within reason. I wouldn't have given him any more than $10 million a year, I don't think. But the Durant money was a bit insane, I think. However, at the same time, if you have the cap space and you think you can manage it, then it's up to you to go for it if you want.
Give me a player on your team that you think no one kind of knows about, or kind of maybe flying under the radar, who maybe isn't a starter but situationally can make a difference. I mean, I don't want to tip your hat too much, but.
No, that's fine. So Curtis Brown is a cornerback I picked up from the Steelers last year, and he ended up progressing very nicely. I think he's 83 overall right now, and he's 92 man coverage. So he's playing the slot for me this year. I think in certain situations he can make a difference. I hope he can, anyways. I hope he can hold down the fort because Mathis is getting getting older, and I'm going to have to probably put Brown out on the outside fairly soon this season, if not definitely next season. So I think he's the guy who's up and coming.
Well, I mean, that's always interesting. Where do you put corners? Do they move to full, free safety, strong safety when they get older? Do you not play them anymore? They only, that's also a thing you have to, evaluate as they get older. Stocks, you got anything else?
I was just gonna, finish up with, as a whole, what are your expectations? You started off 1-0 with a good win already. What are your expectations for this year with somewhat, of a different team than you had last year? And how are you, what are you doing to get what type of offense you have now and your players? Like, is it throwing you off, or is it, basically, how much has it changed from last year to this year? Because let's face it, Roddy White's a heck of a wide receiver, and Urlacher and Arakpo. So you have not the same team. So
no. So it's a lot more fun this year, I can tell you that.
That's good. That's good.
I really want to try and have an identity on offense and on defense. I needed to help my back end out on defense because they were just getting torched after 10 seconds of the quarterback roaming around in the pocket. So I really needed to put some pressure on the opposing quarterbacks, and hopefully I can do that this year. On offense, I really want to run the ball. Hopefully I can kind of succeed with my two running backs. I'm quite excited about the rookie, so we'll see what happens. Overall, my expectations are that I make the playoffs. Whether or not that'll happen, well, we'll see. I think I need to go back and practice a little more, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I just had a terrible losing streak last season, which was incredibly disappointing at the end. I couldn't tell you why. It just seems like everything bad happened at the same time, kind of at the end of the season for a long losing streak. So hopefully I can avoid that this year.
Yeah, I know that won't too often too. Trust me.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's a tough league to play in. There's a lot of good players, and I think it's a great league. So, yeah, if I could say one thing, actually, I just want to say thank you to Manny, because I think he does a wonderful job running the league, and he makes it a lot of fun for everyone. So he deserves a lot of credit for everything that happens.
Yeah, most definitely. Me and Stocks have talked about our commitment to Manny and how much we believe in this guy. Some people say, well, he could be more tough or more rigid at certain points, but you can't change who he is. He's a very passionate, fun-loving guy, and he does his best. And really, he's one of the most. He takes time for each owner, and that's very rare to do, because with everyone having their own lives, it's hard to give everyone equal amounts of time and really be fair to people. I will say he is pretty fair, and he does try to incorporate everyone.
Yeah, he does a great job on the message boards, always saying hello to everybody who comes on.
Yep.
And I really think that he does a wonderful job, and he deserves a lot of credit.
Well, I don't want to put you too much on the hot seat, but I'm going to ask the question. You can choose not to answer this, but Stocks and me have always said, does Brad Smith, is he really a quarterback? It's worked for him. They got him to the playoffs this year, and he uses it, and he's not afraid to use it. You play him, we don't play him. We just look at the stats. Is Brad Smith really a quarterback, and what kind of challenges does he give? Maybe, we know he can run. He's got 92 speed. Can he really throw that efficiently? And is it hard to stop, I guess?
Well, yeah, it is hard to stop. The Bills do a great job. He's a great user player, actually. So he makes it very challenging. He kind of rolls out almost every play if he's not running the ball. And he doesn't really ask Brad Smith to throw deep. It's pretty much slants and comeback routes. So it's not anything too challenging, let's say.
Well,
so it takes you a little while to figure out what's going on, and of course you try and counteract it. But he does a nice job running the ball as well. So Brad Smith, for him, I think, is a quarterback. I think he can completely. He made the playoffs last year, and hopefully I've wisened up, hopefully, to his tricks, so to speak, and can stop him this year. But we'll see. But he does a great job, and he gets outside with them and runs, and it's quite annoying, to be honest with you. You're sitting here pulling your hair out because he just ran for 50 yards on you or something like this, in one play. It gets a bit tiring. But no, he doesn't ask him to do too much. He kind of keeps it well within slants and so on to Stevie Johnson and things like this. So it's nothing down the field, nothing kind of true quarterback style. It's all run and shoot type of offense.
Well, I hope the hot seat isn't too hot, but I'm going to turn it up just a tad bit more if I can.
Yeah, sure.
I have to ask because we've had this question over and over, and me and Sox just can't answer it. We haven't got a consistent answer from everyone. One person thinks this, one person thinks that. You play the Miami Dolphins twice a year. What does he do with Cameron Wake that's so explosive? Is it within the rule books? Because I mean, just looking at it, it looks clean. I mean, we haven't really got a lot of complaints, but obviously you see it and gameplay and that kind of thing more consistently, at least than I do.
To be honest with you, I have no idea what he does with them. All I know is that every time I snap the ball, Cameron Wake is running at me every single time. It gets a bit annoying.
Yeah.
I honestly don't think it's anything kind of sketchy or whatever. I think it's completely within the rules. I think if I had to guess, I'm pretty sure he lines up his defensive end over the right tackle and just essentially uses Wake basically around the corner when he blocks him.
So there it is. It's all user skills. We heard it from a guy in the division. Can we put this one to rest? Yes, Doc.
Yeah, no, that's we got it from somebody that sees him twice a year. If it's user skills, man, then there's no complaints because he's not manipulating anything. What can he do that would cause a glitch? You know what I mean? Just being
right.
a user. Yeah, it's just it would make sense.
Well, a nano for sure. I don't know. I mean, I honestly don't know what he does exactly, but he's obviously got some plays that just completely dominate.
Well, we got to remember, football is the idea of football, and especially a good defense. You disguise your plays. You're not supposed to know exactly what he does. But that's different than breaking the rules. But from what I'm hearing from other people and from you, especially now, he might not be like using. He might not. I mean, he might be creating holes in other areas, like because he's doing this, you can hit the wide receiver on a slant easier, or something else. But he's not taking advantage or making the game do something or cheating in essence. So.
I don't think he is. I think it's completely within the rules. He's just very good at whatever it is he's doing.
Right, like I said, that's what a defense does. You're not supposed to know exactly what they do every time. And let's be honest, he's a good player. He's got a good overall Madden ratings, and yep. I think he's using him. Now, obviously, if he's abusing that, that's something else. But we're not here to talk about the Dolphins. I just had to ask because everyone's, that's the hot button thing.
Sure. No, that's no problem. I think it's fine.
So I'll let you close it out. We're gonna have some fun here, and I'll let you kind of say what you want to say, and have the last word. And we'll try to end a more positive, upbeat.
The only thing that I want to say is I want to call it the Patriots because we have to have a true rivalry. We really have to bring the heat here, Freddie. I need to see you coming with the heat this year. We had a really close game last year at the end of the season. I've got to call him out so that we have a true rivalry. Well, nothing personal. I think he's a nice guy, but it's got to be on in the division. I think the Pats Jets have to hate each other, and that's just the way it's got to be.
Well, talking about the Patriots, since you want to give Brady a little bit of a love here, does Foster scare you the way he uses him? Because he's had some big games, but then he's had games where to me, from looking at the stats, and I know Stocks has kind of said the same thing, a lot of times when he gave him the touches, the guy produces. A lot of times Brady just doesn't give him the touches, it seems, at times.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Every time I've only really played him once. We got crossed up and we ended up having a sim game once.
Oh, that's unfortunate, yeah.
Yeah, but the last time we played, he kind of got away from running the ball, I think. I'm too busy chasing his tight ends all over the field, typically, so I kind of let my computer guys chase down his running back. So I don't remember what the stats looked like when we played last, but usually my focus is not on Arian Foster. It's more or less on chasing around Gronkowski or whoever else is running around.
Well, as usual, I let Stocks kind of clean up the show, kind of end with whatever he wants. I begin it, he ends it. So I'll toss it over to Stocks on the pitch. Hopefully he takes it to a touchdown and we win the game.
Well, I don't know about that. I was shaky my last game, my new rookies, but we just like to thank you to come on. Give you AFC sight of how the Jets team runs and some of the insight on the other AFC teams, because like we said, we don't have that aspect. We kind of are just the NFC guys, but definitely like to thank you and good luck to you this year.
No problem. Thanks for having me, guys.
Brady, you heard it. He's coming after you, so step up your
Maybe
game.
Brady wants to join me on the show sometime. We'll talk about it.
Anyone wants to join you on the show, we'll talk about it. I'm telling you, these people are afraid, man. It's not that scary, is it? We
No,
treated
it's
you
not
pretty
that
well.
bad, guys. Come on.
Alright, guys. Stay good. Stay fresh. No one do anything bad. Have a good week. Enjoy the season.